Hi, it's Terry Gaines. I'm going to give you some assembly tips on creating this fun fold card using the new stamp set called Inspiring Iris and a new ink color called Seaside Spray. So to start out, I have a piece of Seaside Spray cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to adhere to it a piece of Whisper White cardstock that's 4 by 5 1/4, and I have ran this through my Big Shot machine with the subtle folder, and this gives it a nice subtle background, which is perfect for adding to lots of different cards. One of my favorite folders. The next layer on my card is 3 1/4 by 8 1/2 piece of Seaside Spray cardstock. It's scored at 4 1/4. And what I'm going to do is apply my adhesive to one side of this. I'm using the snail adhesive. And when I adhere this, I like to set my postcard on the table and the bottom of this folded card. And by placing those both on the table, it gives me a good alignment on the top and the bottom. The next layer of cardstock is Seaside Spray, that's 3 by 4. I ran this through a new 3D folder called Brick and Mortar. And with this folder, because it's a new folder and it's a different thickness than the previous folders, I purchased the new plate from Stampin' Up. It's blue in color. And I use my standard platform, put my cardstock between the folder, use this plate, and it's a perfect thickness that you need to get your 3D. This is going to be another popular folder that I'm going to use a lot for my cards. So what I want to do is add some depth to those bricks. So I'm going to use the ink pad. Use the ink, and I've taken a sponge. You can see I've used this for multiple colors. I just rinse it out. The sponges, you get 3 in a package. I cut mine into quarters, pinch to roll it a little bit. And what I'm going to do is go across the cardstock, all the way across. So I'm starting off the paper and going all the way across to the other side. And I've got a fairly light, well, a little bit medium pressure, I would say. But what I'm doing is I'm going quickly across so I can just get some depth and some color added to that. So that's what I wanted to do for this before I attached it. Then I'm also going to take some of the it's 3/8 inch silver metallic edged ribbon. I'm going to wrap this around and tie a knot. I like to leave my ribbon on the spool when I creating cards. That way all my waste is whatever I trim off that end. But you're gonna need about 13 inches. I'm gonna move that down towards the bottom, put adhesive on the back, and this gets layered to that front folded part of the card. We're going to look at opposite corners here and kind of get those opposite corners lined up, and if they're all square, the other 2 corners should be square too, and then we'll burnish that down. So that's what we have so far here. 2 more pieces of cardstock we need, or 3 more actually. This Whisper White one is actually adhered to the inside, but you might want to stamp an inside sentiment. Then we have 2 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 for some squares cardstock. So one of them I stamped the greenery first with the granny apple green, and then I stamped the flowers, which is 1 stamp. The greenery is 1 stamp with the Seaside Spray. I use the layering circles in my die cutting machine to cut these out. So then I have my 2 circles. So I'm going to adhere the circles together, and then these are going to be adhered with dimensionals on this card flap. My suggestion for your dimensionals is to place 2 of them on the edge, edge of your paper there, and then 1 on the edge of the circle. This way, I'm going to peel the backings off. This way, if you put all of them on here, you're kind of blind to where you're adhering your dimensionals, and you don't have to then worry about having them exposed on this side, that they would seal your card shut. So as I mentioned, there's a piece for the inside, and then the last finishing touch is to take a couple rhinestones, and this will coordinate with the silver on the ribbon, and we're just going to add those, oops, to the flower. Goodness, there we go. And I'm using the larger rhinestones here, just adding a little embellishments for your card. So if you found me via YouTube, you can go in the comments section for a direct link to my blog, where you'll find the list of the supply list, measurements, instructions for this project. There'll be a PDF tutorial you can download and a direct link to my Stampin' Up! Store to purchase the supplies. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed creating this project with me.